Happy Tuesday, everybody. June 3rd, 2014. Welcome aboard. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. We are streaming live. Visit my website, drglidden.com, to figure out how to watch us. Check it out, drglidden.com. Streaming live through the internet. Welcome aboard. Today is Tuesday, June 3rd. 2014. I reference Medscape quite a bit because it's an interesting source for information. This is MD centrist information. It gives you a little window into the way that the MDs think. Death due to unnatural, quote-unquote, causes more common in diabetes. This from Medscape Medical News, published June 2nd, 2014. That's yesterday. Unnatural deaths are more common among people with diabetes, at least in Sweden, according to the results of a new study. The findings represent the first comprehensive national epidemiologic study of unnatural death in diabetes and were published online May 21st. In Diabetes Care by Roger T. Webb, Ph.D. The researchers found increased risks for death from unnatural causes, including suicide, accidents, and homicides among people with both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. They also showed that the fatalities occurred at a younger age among diabetic patients than in the general population. The investigators examined data for a total of 252,000 individuals in the Swedish National Diabetes Register. They were 55% male with a mean age of 69 years of age. Each person with diabetes was compared with 5 matched people from the general Swedish population of 1,260,000 people. The relative risk for suicide was 3.36 amongst the diabetics, and for all type of accidents, about 2.0. Marked elevations were seen among diabetic patients for deliberate self-poisoning, 5%, accidental poisoning, 4%, transportation accidents, 4%, while the number and rate of homicides was small. The risk was still statistically significantly higher than those higher among those with diabetes. These strong associations persisted after further adjustment for mental illness and educational levels, the researchers noted. So again, it's an out-of-control train, right? This is what happens when you pour into a living, breathing, animate, physical body synthetic man-made drugs, the intention of which are not to fix the problem. Your medical doctor is not trained how to fix your health condition. They're trained to manage your symptoms with drugs. They're trained to manage your symptoms with drugs because they don't believe that your body can fix itself. They're not trained that your body can fix itself because they don't believe in the presence of the spiritual, intelligent force inside the body, because nobody has discovered that. Nobody has ever weighed the soul, right, or seen it with an ultrasound or a CT scan. So therefore, to the MD, it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, it doesn't exist. Now, every holistic medical field in the world believes in the presence of an intelligent, spiritual, vital force that animates the human body and which brings intelligence to bear on all the operative functions of the human body. All of the stuff that's happening in your body right now automatically, everything that happens in your body, all of the biochemical processes, all of the cellular reactions, everything is guided by something. It's got to be guided by something. I mean, how does the insulin know to stick to the cell wall? How does that happen? Well, how does it know? Well, how does it know? Well, I'll tell you how it knows. It knows by the intelligence imbued in it by your spiritual body. Your body has intelligence. Your body is so smart, right? It grew itself all by itself from a single-celled organism into you, right? Your MD doesn't believe this, however. Your MD thinks it's all just some type of, they've never been able to explain why. Quite frankly, they don't even want you to ask the question. So, when into an intricate biochemical living system, filled with checks and balances and millions, if not billions, if not trillions of biochemical reactions happening all of the time. You throw man-made synthetic drugs, guess what's going to happen? You're going to gum up the works, and you're going to have trickle-down effects everywhere else in the body. This is a very difficult statistic to secure. And these Swedish researchers, it was interesting to me that they actually made the connection here, but I've been saying this for years, that I am convinced that there is a gigantic relationship between automobile accidents and pharmaceutical medication dosing. I'm convinced. And if you don't think I'm correct, well, here's what I want you to do. Stop taking all of your prescription medications for a year, and then take a prescription medication and see how it makes you feel. Or if you haven't taken any prescription medications, take a prescription medication and see how it makes you feel. I mean, even if it's just an antibiotic, it messes with the way that you think. It messes with the way that you feel. Because everything in the body is connected. And when you throw a stone into the east end of the pond, the ripples eventually make it over to the west end of the pond, right? Everything is affected. But with MD-directed pharmaceutical centrist reductionistic medicine, they don't care about the ripple effects. They don't care about the side effects. They don't care about the net negative effects that their therapeutics engender. Because remember, right, it's not your MD's job to take care of your health. It's your MD's job to manage your symptoms. That's it. So the MD doesn't care that the high blood pressure medication gives you nightmares. The MD doesn't care that the heartburn medication makes you see double. The MD doesn't care that the pain medication that you're taking gives you suicidal ideation. They don't care. They don't care. And you go to them anyway. We genuflect at their altar anyway. How long is it going to take for us to stop genuflecting at the altar of a false god? And by God, I mean medical professional. Honest to God, the only people selling snake oil in the United States have MD after their name. It's true. I mean, if it weren't true, it wouldn't be true, but it's true. Prescription medications are MD-directed medical therapeutics are the leading cause of death. Into that mix are prescription medications, correctly prescribed, prescription medications incorrectly prescribed, medical screw-ups, secondary infections that people get when they go to the hospital, things like that. It's a great big smorgasbord of pain that the MDs dole out because their therapeutics are inconsistent with what really happens inside the human body. They're inconsistent. And I'm the only one that's saying this. Dr. Wallach says it tangentially. The reason that you should fire your medical doctor is not because they're bad people, not because they have low IQs, not because they're idiotic, not because they're sadistic, but because they are completely enrolled in a methodology which doesn't work. They're like colorblind art critics who are criticizing the art, or colorblind artists, right? Or colorblind photographers. I mean, if you hired a colorblind photographer to come and photograph your wedding, you might be a little upset with the results. I mean, you're going to get results, but the results are going to be less than satisfying because they're missing a great deal of information that they don't even know that they're missing, and this is why the MDs are the most dangerous profession in the world. And, it doesn't hurt or it doesn't help the situation that their hubris is legendary, because the MD will never, ever, ever, ever question the veracity of their own therapeutics. They won't. They won't question it because they think they're gods. MD stands for medical deity. They're not going to question their failures. I mean, for goodness sake, they don't even know how to fix heartburn, right? They can't cure heartburn. They can manage it with a little purple pill. To the profession that doesn't even know how to cure heartburn, we're given $600 billion to come up with a cure for cancer. Well, I wonder why we haven't come up with a cure for cancer. Because they're the wrong dog for the hunt. We've taken the wrong people into our confidence. Your MD's good for sewing things up. Your MD's good for setting a broken bone. Your MD's good for killing the amoeba that you got when you visited Mexico. That's about it. For high blood pressure, for fibromyalgia, for birth defects, for autism, for type 2 diabetes, for type 1 diabetes, for arthritis, for congestive heart failure, for an enlarged heart, for cardiomyopathy, heart attacks, for heart attacks in general, for rheumatoid arthritis, for osteoarthritis, for osteoporosis, for osteopenia, for eczema, seborrhea, psoriasis, failure to thrive, infertility, migraine headaches. Your MD has nothing for you. Nothing. Zero, zilch. Other than symptom suppressive, man-made, synthetic, expensive drugs, the intention of which are not to cure a darn thing, simply to manage your symptoms. And while they manage the symptoms, they screw everything else up. So you've got diabetics in Sweden now that are killing themselves at a statistically significantly higher rate than the general population. Why is this? Because when you throw into the intricate system of the human body, the divinely imbued system of the human body, man-made synthetic drugs, you're going to upset the apple cart all of the time. But because the MDs monopolize the medical marketplace, because they are the kings of this domain, they get to upset the apple cart all the time, and nothing happens to them. There are no consequences. Their patients die. They don't go to jail. Their patients commit suicide. There's no professional repercussions. No wrists are slapped. Nobody gets penalized. Nobody gets sent to jail. There are no consequences, and so it's a runaway train. For goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. We're in this. The MDs are so far outside of the picture in their ability to help us with chronic disease. We are on our own. That's why longevity is so important. Because what we bring to the table are science-based, clinically verified therapeutics, the intention of which are, in fact, to support and promote your body's ability to fix itself. Give me a call, why don't you, and let's talk about it. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here, coming at you live, streaming live via the internet. Check us out at drglidden.com, drglidden.com. Now, we're going to talk right now for the next 3 or 4 minutes about a particular drug. First, I'm going to tell you the side effects, and then I want you to try to guess which drug it is. You ready? Short-term side effects include high blood glucose levels, that's high blood sugar, mineral corticoid effects such as fluid retention, adrenal insufficiency, insomnia, euphoria, mania, depression, anxiety, Cushing syndrome, dementia, depression, osteoporosis, glaucoma, and cataracts, difficulty controlling emotion, difficulty in maintaining a train of thought, weight gain, suppressed immune system, facial swelling, severe facial swelling, depression, mania, psychosis, fatigue or weakness, mental confusion, memory and attention dysfunction, blurred vision, abdominal pain, peptic ulcer, painful hips or shoulders, osteoporosis, stretch marks, osteonecrosis, insomnia, severe joint pain, cataracts or glaucoma, anxiety, black stool, stomach pain or bloating, severe swelling, mouth sores, avascular necrosis, hepatic steatosis, nervousness, acne, skin rash, appetite, hyperactivity, increased thirst, frequent urination, diarrhea, painful leg cramps, sensitive teeth. Suppression from this drug, adrenal suppression, will begin to occur if this drug is taken for longer than 7 days. Adrenal suppression, suppression of your adrenal glands, will occur if this drug is taken for longer than 7 days. Eventually, this may cause the body to temporarily lose the ability to manufacture cortisol, which is an essential part of the fire department of your body, which results then in a dependence on this drug. For this reason, this drug should not be abruptly stopped if taken for more than 7 days. Instead, the dosage should be gradually reduced. The weaning process may be over a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, depending on how much of it you take. Isn't that just great? Boy, I'm going to go right out there and get me a whole bushel and a peck of this stuff. Of course, I'm talking about prednisone. prednisone is the wonder drug of the MDs. Prednisone is the first, second, and third thing that MDs throw at everything prednisone. It is a natural, it is an anti-inflammatory medication. It is an anti-inflammatory medication. Once it is converted into the active form called prednisolone via the liver, MDs use it to damp down inflammation. Now, a colleague of mine, Jarmel, who lives here in Chicago, who calls in from time to time, he's a longevity distributor. He went to a medical conference about a month ago, and the buzz at the medical conference was that everything is caused by inflammation. Right? It's a breakthrough. Medical science has finally discovered that every chronic disease has its roots in inflammation. But they're absolutely clueless as to what causes the inflammation. And so the new, standard for therapy now is going to be different anti-inflammatory medications. Which is like trying to put the fire out without paying any attention to what started the fire. And if you don't pay any attention to what started the fire, it's going to start again. And the stuff that you throw on the fire is going to have negative impacts on the house, right? You never been to a house that's, one room of the house burns down or the garage burns down, heaven forbid, and then the firemen show up. And, it's one wall was in flames and a little bit of the roof, but the entire garage is now demolished because of all of the water that the firemen used to put out the fire. The water put the fire out, but it had deleterious effects on the rest of the house. Well, the prednisone will put the fire out, but it has deleterious effects on the rest of the body. And yet the MDs dole this stuff out like candy. I've always said that if you took antibiotics and prednisone away from MDs, they'd be running around in circles not knowing what to do. And this should scare the bejeebers out of you. Because, again, remember, your medical doctor may be the nicest human being that God ever created, but they are not trained in how to help your body fix itself. They're only trained in how to suppress your symptoms, and they don't give a crap about the side effects that their therapeutics engender. They do not care. It's not their job to make you healthier. It's their job to suppress your symptoms immediately. It's their job to, suppress the blood pressure right now. It's their job to end the pain right now. It's their job to normalize blood sugars right now. They do not care about the long-term effects of their therapeutics, which is why they are the most dangerous people on the planet. Donna from North Carolina is up next. Stick around. Today is the 3rd day of June 2014. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. And we're back live, June 3rd, 2014. Catch the live stream, drglidden.com. Phones are lit up like a Christmas tree. North Carolina's first. Donna is up. I think she has a question about prednisone. How about there? Hey, Donna, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Thank you so much for taking my call. This is exciting. My first time on radio ever.
Well, you go, girl.
And thank you for letting me relive all those side effects from prednisone. I've been living them for 5 years.
How long have you been taking it?
5 years.
Yeah, what'd they give it to you for?
Well, I woke up one morning and fell on my face. My joints were all swollen and I couldn't walk. So I was in a wheelchair.
Oh, I hate it when that happens. That just happened all of a sudden overnight?
Yep. And then they kept doing MRIs and X-rays, and they thought at 58 years old I was doing calisthenics from one end of the house to the other. And that I had a trampoline in the middle of my living room. So they were doing X-rays, and are you sure you didn't fall? Are you sure you didn't? And then one day I woke up, and it was in my nose. My nose was all swelled up, and I blew holes in both my eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they still weren't able to give you a working diagnosis, right?
No, they did everything. My blood pressure's perfect. My cholesterol's perfect. My sugar's perfect. But my inflammation level was up, my cortisol was up, and that was the only thing. I tested negative for lupus, negative for RA, negative for gout, negative for Lyme disease. And because it was in my face and my nose was so big and I couldn't see or breathe and I was bleeding out my eyes, they gave me the prednisone.
Well, look, I mean, let's keep it all in perspective, right? It's not the drug, it's how it's used. It's not the gun, it's how it's used. You can use a drug appropriately to help the body heal itself, and you can use a drug inappropriately. For 3, 4, 5 days, prednisone has utility and can be very helpful if it's used in addition to a smart, effective, science-based, clinically verified therapeutic, the intention of which is to actually help your body get on the other side of the problem, right? But that's not what the MDs do, and quite frankly, so are you still paying medical insurance premiums?
Yeah. Well,
doesn't that just get your goat? I mean, doesn't that just infuriate you?
Well, actually, prior to that, I didn't have insurance. I didn't need it. I was healthy. I've been healthy all my life and self-employed.
Yeah.
That put me out of work. It put me out of everything. So I ended up on Medicaid. But every time they cut down my prednisone, I keep trying to cut it down. But when I cut it down, all those joints flare up and I blow an eye again, or it's in my nose, or it's in my lungs, or my heart.
Yeah, okay, so all right, so I'm glad you called. How'd you find out about us anyway?
Just from this crazy guy named Darren Moy.
Darren Moy. Darren Moy's going to change the world. He really is. Darren Moy is he's talking to everybody in the world about what we do. He's a big cheerleader for us. We love Darren Moy, and he's making a big impact. He's only been with us for, I don't even know how long, maybe 6 months. But all right, so here's the deal. Okay, now, I don't know, have you ever had a problem with mold in your house? You ever lived in a house where there's been mold?
Not that I'm aware of. My house is pretty new, and I keep them up.
All right, good. So I'm not saying that mold has anything to do here, but I'm using it as a metaphor, right? If I had a leak in my basement, and every time it rained, water got into my basement, eventually there would be mold in my basement, because that's how it happens. First you get water intrusion, and then something gets soaking wet, and then mold gets a place to live and breed and feed and breed and grow, and now you have a mold problem. So I go down into my basement one day and I see, oh, son of a gun, there's a mold problem. Well, if I'm an MD, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go get a paint bucket, and I'm going to paint over the mold. I'm not going to look to see where the water came in. I'm not going to try to fix the source of the leak. I'm not going to try to fix the source of the mold. I'm just going to paint over the mold so I don't see it or I don't smell it anymore. Eventually, right, it's only a matter of time until there's more mold in the house, because I never fixed the leak, right? And it's going to rain all the time. So it's only a matter of time until the problem gets worse and worse and worse, and then I need more and more and more paint. And then the whole wall of the house collapses because I wasn't being prudent. So that's what's happening to you. The original inflammatory process that set this whole thing off is still at play. Your body is still in trouble, and so when you withdraw from the prednisone, it's back. Because it never left, right? The prednisone just suppressed the symptoms, so you weren't aware of them anymore. It's kind of like cutting the check engine light. The little wire on the...
I gained 100 pounds in 5 years.
Yeah, that's a side effect with the prednisone, right?
Oh, it's horrible.
I know. It's horrible.
Help me get off it.
Well, look, I can help you. I can help you here. And it's going to be a lot easier than you think. But what I want to drive home here to the listening audience is that this is a very common situation. That the people that we've given our dollars to in the form of medical insurance payments every month, the people that we've given our trust to, the people that we put up on a social pedestal, the people that we trust to take care of us don't know how to do it. And their therapeutics are hurting us, and they're ineffective. And they can't even diagnose what's wrong with you. For goodness sake, you have strong and persistent symptoms for 5 years, and they don't know what the heck's going on. And they did every diagnostic test in the world, and they're still coming up blank. I would write a letter to the State Association of Medicine saying the doctors at my hospital are incompetent. I want an investigation.
Already.
You fired 4 doctors already, exactly.
Yeah, and said it right to them. You're fired. I'll find somebody that can figure this out.
And what did they say when you said that?
they just shrug their shoulders. I don't know what to do for you.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
Thank
find
you.
somebody
Yeah.
that can. I'm doing
Yeah.
more research than they are.
Yeah, I know, and that's a problem, isn't it? You would think, right? You would think.
Yeah.
Honest to God, it's the only profession in the world where the members of the profession can fail and fail and fail and fail and fail and fail and fail, and they still get a paycheck.
Yes. Now, in the beginning of all of this, I have to say, I did have 2 tick bites.
Okay, so did you get a bullseye rash?
No, I didn't. And the Lyme tests that they do come back negative. So I went to an infectious disease guy.
Yeah, well, you should get Darren Moy to send you a webinar that I did on Lyme disease, because there's only one test that can definitively diagnose Lyme disease, and the Center for Disease Control outlawed its use. There's only one test that can definitively diagnose the presence of Lyme disease, and it's illegal to use it. And
Okay, well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
This infectious disease guy, I do have laryngitis. I don't normally sound this bad. I don't know where that came from. That's out of the blue, too. But he did this other test for the Lyme disease, and I came back with one marker,
Yeah.
and he said in order to have it, you have to have 2.
Yeah, well, see, what I'm saying is that there's that was called a Western blot test. Was that right?
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So part of that diagnostic array, part of the Western blot, it's like a fingerprint of Lyme disease. The Western blot part, the part of the Western blot test that shows Lyme disease, they can't test for anymore. It's illegal. So you got to watch the webinar that I did. Get Darren Moy to give you a link to the webinar that I did about this. It's fascinating.
I will.
This is a gigantic government conspiracy and cover-up. Lyme disease was a government-created disease. It started in the 1970s in Lyme, Connecticut, which is 9 miles away from a tick government research tick facility on Plum Island in Long Island Sound. We think they were experimenting with tick-borne illnesses, and one of the bugs got away, and it created a massive epidemic in the United States. And to cover their tracks, the Center for Disease Control made it illegal. The only test that can definitively test for Lyme disease would be illegal. Now, you can have been bitten by a Lyme tick today. You can have the tick in your hand. You can have the bullseye rash and all of the symptoms from Lyme disease, and you'll test negative on all of the tests.
Yeah.
You can also have been bitten by a Lyme tick 20 years ago, be completely symptom-free, go in and get the blood test, and it shows positive for Lyme disease. It
Great.
is... you can't diagnose Lyme disease with conventional diagnostic therapeutics.
Does it sound like I have Lyme disease, or does it sound like they insist I've got RA?
No. Look. They're just throwing stuff to the wall to see what's going to stick, right?
And I said, well, if I have RA, then give me minocycline. So I
Well,
made them put me
look,
on that.
Yeah, so you went on minocycline for how long?
I've been on it for, probably about 8 months now.
And have you gotten worse?
No, actually, the rash on my face goes away when I'm on it, and then when I stop taking it, the rash comes back.
Yeah, okay. So I don't think that was the right thing to do.
And I get a sore throat.
All right, so you have the Donna from North Carolina disease. That's what you have.
Oh, my God, it's horrible.
Yeah, okay. So look, here's our basic message here, right?
Right.
Number one, your body, my body, everybody's body that's alive, our bodies know how to fix themselves. Our bodies want to fix themselves. And we are of the belief that the fundamental root of all chronic disease, whether there's an inflammatory process involved or not, the root of all chronic diseases are nutrient deficiencies. And that your bones and your ligaments and your tendons and your joints and your skin start to break down. Not because you have a bad gene, not because you have an infectious organism living inside your body, but because your body has run out of the raw materials that it needs to keep that part of your body healthy.
I call it the alien.
Well, look, you start to lose nutrients a little bit every day, 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 and then you wake up one morning and everything is broken. It's like the straws that broke the camel's back, right?
Yeah.
So the illness that afflicted you overnight, from my point of view, took probably 10 years to build up and generate. And it's a little bit of nutrient deficiencies every day on top of consistent consumption of foods that are pro-inflammatory. So, I
And
mean,
also,
you know.
after the 2 tick bites, I was on like 4 weeks of antibiotics and then ended up with 6 months of chronic diarrhea. That was just prior to the waking up with the joint, and not being able to walk.
Oh, okay. So then that's what did it. So that was the final straw that broke the camel's back, the antibiotic stress to your body, because, you know, antibiotics are good if you have an infection, but they're bad if you don't have an infection. And if you take an antibiotic inappropriately, you can really upset the metabolism of the human body and escalate the genesis of chronic inflammatory conditions. And that's what's happened to you, ostensibly. But,
and
you know,
I was organic. I've been organic for 15 years.
yeah, but that doesn't matter.
Supplements.
I mean, that doesn't matter. It doesn't
I know.
matter.
Apparently not.
It doesn't matter. I mean, that's one of the biggest myths in holistic medicine, that organic food is the cure for everything. It's not.
I know.
It's not.
I didn't know.
I know. You don't know. Nobody knows. It's not your fault. It's your doctor's fault. It's your doctor's fault. It's not your fault. I know this. Dr. Wallach knows this. My naturopathic colleagues know this, some of them anyway. This stuff is published. It's in the literature. We've been doing clinical experimentation with this stuff for decades, and your MD is blind to it because they haven't never been to a medical conference, a medical nutrition conference in their entire life.
Yeah.
But don't get me started. So listen, Donna from North Carolina, we're coming up against a hard break here. You stick with me. Tell me your body weight before we hit the break.
Oh, my God. Do I have to? Can I tell you after you hang up?
Tell me now.
300 now.
All right. You stick with me. I'll tell you what to do when we come back. Glad you called. Stick around, folks. More to come. Welcome back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here with you. Tuesday, June 3rd. I'm getting ahead of myself. Tuesday, June 3rd, 2014. We are talking to Donna from North Carolina. All right, Donna, so here's the deal. Here's what I would do for the next 90 days in order to, get on the other side of this, okay? You ready?
Yeah, do you want me to tell you what I already have?
No, I don't care what you already have, because I'm going to tell you what to take. So you can adjust it appropriately, okay?
Hit me.
All right. Number 1, eliminate the 10 bad foods.
Done.
Good. Number 2, if you can afford it, 3 anti-aging healthy start packs a month and 4 bottles of selenium. 3 anti-aging healthy start packs and 4 bottles of selenium a month. That's it. That's all you need to do. That's it. 3 anti-aging healthy start packs and 4 bottles of selenium a month. And Darren Moy can tell you how to dose that and, how to mix it and how to take it. But that's what I would do if I were you. Also, you want to get some licorice root tea. Licorice root tea. Yeah. And see, have you ever had licorice root tea?
Yes.
Oh, you have, and you hate it? I
hate licorice.
Okay, so then get Tulsi, T like Thomas, U-L-S like Sam, I, Tulsi tea.
Okay.
And they make Tulsi tea in many different flavors. I want you to have 2 cups of Tulsi tea a day, okay? 2 cups of Tulsi tea a day. And I want you to educate yourself about ORAC, O-R-A-C, which is a measurement of antioxidants. Your antioxidant consumption goal a day should be 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants. 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants. You can do that with nutritional supplements. There's going to be some ORAC in the nutritional supplements that you're getting. You can get extra add-on nutritional supplements to meet that goal, or you can just adjust your diet appropriately. For instance, using curry powder, using cinnamon, switching to dark-skinned fruits, switching from white wine to red wine. Just making some simple substitutions using curry powder will dramatically increase the ORAC index in your life. Your goal needs to be 100,000 ORAC points of antioxidants a day, and your diet needs to be high in fat. Your diet needs to be high in cholesterol. You need to become the cholesterol queen of North Carolina. And don't worry, fat does not make people fat. Prednisone and calories make people fat.
I was on Atkins for 6 months.
Yeah, well, I would have. So Atkins diet, no bread, just a lot of meat, right?
It's meat in like salad, very low carb, but I didn't lose any weight.
Yeah, okay. So you're not going to lose weight until you get off the prednisone, but you're not going to be able to get off the prednisone until you support and promote the underlying function of your body so you can get on the other side of the internal inflammation. So once you've been on this program for 4 weeks, I would consult a pharmacist and get them to recommend a reduction schedule for the prednisone that takes place over 12 weeks. A reduction schedule for prednisone that takes place over 12 weeks. 12 weeks. Go to a pharmacist, get them to put you on a reduction schedule that takes place over 12 weeks while you're increasing your ORAC, eliminating the 10 bad foods, taking these nutritional supplements into your body every day.
That's about what I've been doing. I've been reducing it I've been reducing 1 milligram a week. And when I get down to anywhere between 11 and 17, I flare. Like right now, I'm without my left hand.
All right. Well, so that means it's not working, right?
Right.
So that program isn't working. And so why isn't it working? Because your body doesn't have the raw materials it needs in order to put the fires of inflammation out. Plus, you have all this trouble that you have to recover from because you've been on the prednisone for so long.
And I've only been on the longevity for 2 weeks.
Okay, so this is why a diet that's high in cholesterol is very important, because all of the hormones that your body makes that the prednisone is inhibiting are made from cholesterol. So you have to eat lots and lots and lots of cholesterol, like 6 eggs a day, a stick of butter a day, a chicken with the skin, turkey with the skin. Go crazy for cholesterol. Darren Moy will help you to do that. One more thing I want you to do, I only want you to do this for 4 weeks. 2 boxes of Root Beer Belly a month for 4 weeks. I want you to take 1 packet of Root Beer Belly twice a day, 1 packet of Root Beer Belly twice a day. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Go crazy for cholesterol. Call me back in 3 weeks with a report. I will look forward to it. Appreciate your call. Robert in California is up next, folks. Stick around. It's the second hour, ladies and gentlemen. Tuesday, July 3rd, 2014. Thanks for calling. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health, your friendly neighborhood naturopath. Let's go to California and talk to Robert. Hey, Robert, thanks for the call. You are live.
Hi, Dr. Glidden.
Hello, Robert. What's going on?
I'm calling because I wanted to ask you about my dad and myself. My dad has a whole bunch of different problems. He has like a whole split. The major ones he has right now are he's on peritoneal dialysis, so he has kidney failure. He's had a quadruple bypass, so he has heart failure. He's currently blind, both eyes. For both, he has diabetic retinopathy, cataract, and on the right eye, after having cataract surgery, he got his retina detached.
Great.
He also has diabetes, high blood pressure, has an abscess or infection in the prostate, has also stomach problems with acid reflux, and he has either gastritis or ulcer. That's what the doctor says.
That's great, isn't it? How old is your father, man?
59.
Yeah, 59. I mean, I'm 56. I can't imagine having that many problems. So what's his position and what's his attitude and what's his, where is he at vis-a-vis wanting to do something outside of conventional medicine?
Yes, he's to be totally honest, we've tried a lot of different alternative, things, and he's even tried to go vegan, but he had a very hard time with that, including myself.
Well, if he'd have gone vegan, he would have died. I mean, that's just absolutely, positively the wrong thing. And this statement that you just made underlines a sobering truth, because the medical industry, and 99.9% of all of the medical research that's happened in this country for the last 80 years has been monopolized by the MDs. There are only a handful of holistic physicians, alternative quote-unquote physicians, that actually have a clue and that actually have, done research and have clinical experience that lets them know how to actually get on the other side of things like this. And the problem here in the country is that probably, by my estimation, there are less than 300 physicians in the entire world right now who actually have a clue as to what people can do to really and truly support and promote their body's ability to fix themselves. So a lot of people who are frustrated with conventional medicine will dabble with alternative medicine and get lousy results because there aren't that many alternative physicians in the world who have a clue. And the reason for that is because the medical market has been completely dominated by the MDs for so long that all of us alternative guys are left to our own devices. Now, I've been doing this for 25 years clinically, and I've been following Dr. Wallach for the last 4 years now, 4.5, I think. And Dr. Wallach's therapeutics are more effective than anything I've ever seen. And the reason that Dr. Wallach's therapeutics are so effective is because from 1970 to 82, Wallach was in charge of $25 million of federally funded research, did 26,000 autopsies, 10 million blood chemistries. It was a gargantuan amount of work, the result of which is a book that's now in the Smithsonian Institution. And that's why Dr. Wallach's therapeutics are so effective, because Dr. Wallach did the research. And then he did clinical trials. And no other holistic physician comes even close to Dr. Wallach's research track record. So our understanding of the pathogenesis of clogged arteries and kidney failure is the same thing. So from our point of view, the same process that causes arteries in the heart to clog up is the same process that causes the kidneys to go south. It's the same thing. It's just happening in two different parts of the body. It's oxidative damage to blood vessels. Oxidative damage is caused by free radicals, and free radicals are present in the food, and they're present in the environment. So your father, you, me, and everybody else listening to this broadcast, quite frankly, people who are not listening to this broadcast, everybody needs to stop eating food that introduces free radicals into the body. The biggest source of free radical introduction into the body is fried food. So there are 10 foods your dad needs to stop eating, you need to stop eating, I need to stop eating. You can get that list for free at my website, drglidden.com. You have to clean up his diet, have him immediately stop those 10 foods, because unless he stops eating those foods, the chance of the medical nutrition program getting leverage to help his body recover to the ability that it's able to recover are going to be limited. You know, you can't be putting out a fire on one end of the house and lighting fires at the other end of the house. It isn't going to work. So you have to clean the diet up, number one. Number two, how much does your dad weigh?
He was 200 pounds.
All right. So what I would do for the first 90 days is 2 original formula anti-aging healthy start packs. 2 original formula anti-aging healthy start packs. 2 original formula anti-aging healthy start packs. 2 bottles of something called Sweeties, SWEET-EZ, like zebra E, Sweeties. 2 bottles of Sweeties. 4 bottles of selenium. That's S like Sam, E, L like Larry, E, N like Nancy, IUM. 4 bottles of selenium and 1 bottle of Ultimate Daily capsules a month. That's 1 Ultimate Daily, 4 selenium, 2 anti-aging healthy start packs, and 2 bottles of selenium a month, plus eliminate the 10 bad foods. Now, this is a holistic health recovery program, so when he's on board with this, he wants to look to see, you know, what happens to the blood pressure, what happens to the blood sugars, what happens to the blood numbers when he goes in for dialysis, because they track that stuff. But also he wants to pay attention to how he feels, right? His mood, his energy, his sleep, and things like that. So we expect to see a brightening up across the board, which is then followed by objective improvement with blood pressure numbers getting better, blood sugar numbers getting better, and dialysis numbers getting better. It might take him a year to get enough traction on this program to actually produce noticeable results. It might take him 4 weeks. I mean, I've had patients that have had high blood pressure for 30 years, and they get on board with the medical nutrition program, and in 2 weeks, their blood pressure normalizes. I've seen blood sugars normalize in 3 days. So, I have no idea how long this is going to take. Nobody does, and I have no idea how far back your father's body is going to be able to bounce. But I do know that he needs medical nutrition, and I know his body's going to suck it up. Like pouring fertilizer on an old wilted plant. It's going to suck it up, it's going to utilize it, and it's going to love it. So that's what I would do for him. Now, what about you?
Well, first of all, I'm overly obese. I weigh 270 pounds.
How tall are you?
5'6".
All right. How'd you hear about me, by the way?
My aunt, she's in Arkansas, and maybe about 2 weeks ago, I've been looking at your YouTube videos and also Dr. Wallach's.
Oh, great. Have you seen the video that I did on weight loss or weight gain?
None of that. I've been more concentrated on my dad, but I decided.
Yeah. Okay. So let me tell it to you straight. The only thing, whenever I have a conversation with anybody and weight is an issue, I can tell in the back of the person's mind that they feel guilty about it, that they feel sheepish about it, that they think it's their fault. It's not your fault. Your weight gain has nothing to do with you. It is not your fault. It's your doctor's fault. It's your doctor's job to keep you healthy. Your doctor has dropped the ball. You're not lazy. You don't have a stomach that's too big. It's not for lack of exercise. It's not because you have the fat gene. It's not because you have a bad gene. It's because you have a bad doctor. It's not your fault. It's your physician's fault. The only thing that makes people gain weight is we eat too many calories. The only reason we eat too many calories is because our bodies are starving for vitamins and nutrients. Your body knows that it's starving for nutrients, and so your body forces you to eat. So you'll go to Olive Garden, you'll eat a gigantic plate of food that doesn't have any vitamins or minerals in it, and then 2 hours later you're starving again, and you want to shoot yourself in the head because you think, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. You got to have a psychological problem or something. It's not. Your body is nutritionally starved, period. And so when you give your body the nutrients that it needs in good recipes, you fill your body's nutritional tank up, all of a sudden your food cravings diminish greatly. And this is the key to weight loss. You have to give your body the nutrients that it needs appropriate for your body weight. You have to stop eating food that causes inflammation. And then you have to dial in 1,200 calories a day. But eating 1,200 calories a day with a nutritionally deficient body is impossible. Eating 1,200 calories a day with a nutritionally satisfied body is easier than falling off a potato truck. So, in addition to the weight gain, are there any other health issues that you're struggling with?
The biggest one, and I was listening to a rerun, and I only caught the last part, is that the biggest problem I have is that I can taste what I smell. Everybody says that I'm crazy or that.
That's interesting. Yeah. No, I understand exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. All right, but you don't have heartburn, you don't have high blood pressure, you don't have anxiety and panic attacks. You're good.
Well, I do have some acid reflux.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Okay. So here's what I would recommend you do.
Okay.
For the next 90 days in order to get on the other side of this. Okay. You have to stop the 10 bad foods also. Supplements. For supplements, I would do 2 healthy digestion packs. 2 healthy digestion pack original formula. 2 healthy digestion packs original formula. And 1 bottle of Beyond Osteo FX. 1 bottle of Beyond Osteo FX. 2 healthy digestion packs, original formulas, 1 Beyond Osteo FX. Eliminate the 10 bad foods. Salt your food so that it tastes good. Give me a call in about 3 weeks. And oh, by the way, get with the person who turned you on to Youngevity to get the Youngevity supplements. That's how we roll. We support the downline and the upline. Get her done. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden here, your steadfast advocate for health, welcoming you to another live edition of Fire Your MD Now. And just a second here, I have to pull up my... I had a little technical glitch right now. This Thursday night, if you are a Dr. Glidden insider, we're going to be doing a presentation on what makes longevity different, why longevity nutritional supplements are better than most of the nutritional supplements you can get over the counter. That's this Thursday night at 8 o'clock Central Time for Dr. Glidden insiders and their guests exclusively. To become a Dr. Glidden insider, go to drglidden.com, click on the insider button for details. It will be, in fact, the best $20 a month you have ever spent. Cancel at any time. Paulette from Iowa is up next. Hey, Paulette, thanks for the phone call. You are live.
Oh, no, thank you for taking my phone call. You are not going to believe how this dovetails with what you've been talking about.
Well, all right, so I'm sitting down, so lay it on me.
Yeah, man, I am just like really jazzed. My husband was diagnosed with a fever of unknown origin. He'd had it from 1979 until 2000, at which time in 2000, this fever of unknown origin, which we had been to a well-known medical teaching facility in the United States twice, 96 and 2000, with two different diagnoses. The first one was a smoldering T-cell lymphoma.
Wow.
So, you hold your breath for years. And then in 2000, they told me it was Still's disease. I could not get home fast enough to look what Still's disease was on the Internet, and they were full of crap at that time. So, got him into a rheumatologist. He had been put on Vioxx or Celebrex, one of the two or both. And so by December, he was declining so fast. I knew that he was dying. He knew he was dying. Christmas night, we sat down, had a glass of wine, and he said, I didn't think I'd be here today. And I said, I didn't either. And then got him into a rheumatologist who put him on prednisone. Ta-da! He's been on prednisone since 2000. And they put him on injectable methotrexate.
Oh, my God.
And finally, after about 2 years of that, he said, there is no way I'm doing this anymore. And so he's been on azathioprine. I have talked the MD into getting him off of Fosamax, and I talked him into getting him off of all kinds of things, but we are still on azathioprine, 50 milligrams 3 times a day.
And still no diagnosis.
Still no diagnosis, except they said, oh, he's got vasculitis. And when I was at the unnamed clinic, the rheumatologist there that I made talk to me, all but put his hand on my head and said, oh, he doesn't have vasculitis. And then, bang, we went to the rheumatologist. He had sores on his legs, sent him to the dermatologist, and our dermatologist called me one night as we were putting up the Christmas tree to say, he has vasculitis, get him to a kidney specialist. But they are saying his vasculitis is systemic, but you only live 5 years. So anyway,
well, you know what,
how do I get him off of this prednisone? Because we can't get lower than 2.5.
No, well, that's not the best question you can ask. You know what the best question you can ask is? What's the best question that you can ask?
What is the origin of this fever of unknown?
Correct. Exactly correct. I mean, what the heck is going on in his body that makes him have fevers all the time, that is making his circulatory system become inflamed? And it's come like, it's like a wildfire now that's out of control, right? The whole county is in flames.
Well, you know what? The rheumatologist, we have not had a fever of unknown origin since he's been on that stuff.
Well, you wouldn't, but still, the underlying inflammatory process is whittling away at his health, right? Just like the mold seeping in behind the paint, right?
Right. Now, I should say that in 2002, I think, I put him on a 1,200 milligrams of pure colostrum. He takes it 4 times a day.
Wow. Where the heck did you get that? Is that bovine colostrum?
Yes, sir, from New Zealand.
Yeah, you got to love that. That was a smart thing to do.
Why can't Longevity get that?
Well, they can. You give us time, they can. But, for something like this, bovine colostrum would be, at best, an extra add-on. That wouldn't be what would spring to my mind initially in order to support and promote his body's ability to put out the fires of inflammation. Look, he doesn't have vasculitis because he has blood vessels, right? He doesn't have a fever of unknown origin because he has an immune system. There's something going on here in his system. You stick with me, Paulette, and we'll dial this in on the other side of the break. I appreciate your call. More to come, folks. Don't even think about touching that dial. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Dr. Peter Glidden here. A lot of chat going on in the chat room. By the way, if you're watching the live stream, you have access to a chat room. One of the questions in the chat room was, what's the deal with hard-boiled eggs? Why don't we recommend hard-boiled eggs? Well, if you cook an egg too much, if you hard-boil it too much, the yellow yolk turns gray or green or develops a gray or a green ring around it, which is a direct visual indication that the cholesterol in the yolk has been degraded and is no longer useful. So if you can hard boil an egg so that the yolk is bright yellow, you can eat it and still gain the benefits of the cholesterol. Otherwise, you're only going to get protein from the egg, and we advocate eggs for two reasons: protein and cholesterol, and cholesterol, and cholesterol. So soft scrambled in butter, soft boiled or poached is the best way to secure all of the cholesterol from an egg, which is what Paulette from Indiana's husband is going to need to do. So one of the things that prednisone does, right, is it really suppresses the immune system, and it really dampens down the body's own natural corticosteroids, cortisol being the most operative one. Is he still on prednisone, or is he taking an analog of it?
No, we are trying to get down. He's taken 2.5 milligrams 4 times a week and 5 milligrams 3 times a week, and we're coming down off of it very gradually.
Yeah.
I should also tell you that in 1990, he had a bone marrow biopsy that showed that he was making too many T cells.
Well, that would be as a result of the prednisone.
No. This is before this was 10 years before he went on prednisone.
Too many T cells, according to who?
To a bone marrow biopsy.
Why on earth would he have? So why did they want to give him a bone marrow biopsy? Because they were trying to figure out what was causing the fevers?
Right.
Oh.
Right. And see, and I thought that it could be brucellosis, because I've known him for almost all the time that he's been sick.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have any titers for brucellosis, and so they keep telling me I'm out of sorts. But I also wonder about a fungal infection.
Well, it can be any number of things here, and this is one of the...
but the too many T cells, what does that tell us?
Well, that tells us that there's an imbalance in the body and that something isn't right in Denmark. And so when there's too many T cells, we look to the bone marrow. And when we look to the bone marrow being dysfunctional, it's usually because of a lack of calcium and a lack of sulfur-bearing molecules, because that's what the bone marrow needs in order to be healthy. And when the bone marrow doesn't have the stuff it needs to be healthy, it starts to get funky, and the body starts to put inside the bone, where the marrow should be, connective tissue, because the body doesn't have the raw materials to make bone marrow, and so connective tissue gets laid down inside the bone, and that makes all kinds of funny things happen to red blood cell production and immune cell production. It's like throwing a wrench into a giant complex, gear system. It's going to screw something up. But listen, Paulette, my heart goes out to you here, and also you need to understand there are a number of benefits to the holistic method. Okay.
Well, you know what? We did control his fevers of unknown origin. We have used acupuncture. We've done the yin and yang and the hot and cold.
Well, yeah, but he's still in the woods, right?
Well, he's been stable since our MD started.
Only because he's still on the drug.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
prior to that, we used chiropractic and everything, and
Well,
so
all
we've
right. So,
been everywhere.
all right. Well, you
But
haven't
we
been.
went holistic first.
Well, all right, good. But this drives my point home. And I don't ever bring this point up on my own because people will think I'm just too full of myself. And, so I never bring this point up on my own. But I have to tell you that the problem with holistic medicine in the world is that it's underfunded. Holistic medical schools are underfunded. There's virtually no holistic medical research that's happening because there's no money in that. Nobody wants to fund that type of research. Youngevity really is the only company that's doing any research on their products. A couple of other companies do, but really there's nobody doing dyed-in-the-wool, profound, holistic medical research. It just doesn't exist. And because of that, and because of the hostile political climate that holistic physicians find themselves in. I mean, for goodness sake, I've been a licensed physician for 20 years. And the state of Illinois fined me 10 months ago $5,000 because I used the word doctor on my website. And in Illinois, you can't do that unless you're an MD. So we don't have a free medical market in the United States. We don't. And it's a hostile climate for those of us involved in alternative medicine. And because of that, there aren't that many holistic physicians who have a strong background in research. There just aren't. And so you're going to go to holistic physicians and you're going to get mediocre results because that's just the nature of the beast. And every once in a while, you'll strike gold and you'll hit something that really works, right? But this is why I love Youngevity, because Youngevity is based, the therapeutics that we talk about here and the recipes that Youngevity offers are based on $25 million of federally funded research and over 3 decades of clinical experience by the world's leading expert on medical nutrition, Dr. Joel Wallach. It just doesn't get any better than that. I mean, it doesn't. Now, there are holistic physicians in the world who bring a different skill set to play than Dr. Wallach does, and that's all good. But Dr. Wallach's foundation medical nutrition stuff needs to be in place or you're just going to be spinning your wheels. Exactly. Okay.
See, and I came to Youngevity for the photo stuff, and I am thrilled about, everything. So, okay, I'll shut up.
All right, so how much did your husband weigh?
Well, he's been on prednisone for 15 years. What do you think?
Yeah, over 300?
No, only 265.
Well, all right, so we're up there. Okay, good. So, number one, he has to stop eating food that's pro-inflammatory, right?
Okay.
So do you. So do I. So we've identified 10 foods that are pro-inflammatory, and you can get that list for free on my website, drglidden.com. Just scroll down on the front page until you see the link. It's called Good Food, Bad Food. So you just download that link to your computer and immediately stop eating the 10 bad foods. So he's going to have to go gluten-free.
Hey, he already is, because I am.
Okay, great. So no gluten, no wheat, barley, rye, or oats, no oil in a bottle, no fried food. You can read the list. It'll be easy for you to do, number one. Number two, he has to start salting his food so that it tastes good. And I don't care what type of salt he uses. Himalayan salt, Celtic salt, with iodine, without iodine, table salt, Morton's table salt. I would prefer it if you could find a salt that has iodine added to it.
Okay.
And he needs to salt his food so that it tastes good and not be afraid of salt. His digestive tract needs salt in order to be healthy and properly digest nutrients out of his food. All right? Number three, he needs to eat a diet that's high in cholesterol. Because all of the hormones that the prednisone is bungling and screwing up in his body are made from cholesterol. So he needs to put cholesterol back in his body in large amounts in order to help his system bounce back from, the prednisone stress, right? So he needs a diet that's high in cholesterol. And don't worry, there is no relationship between high cholesterol and heart disease. It does not exist. It does not exist.
This.
What?
He had a cholesterol blood test.
Yeah.
And I was excited to see what it was, and it was only 175. And this is a man that, we eat beef all the time.
Well, look, I want him to eat more because I'd like to see his total cholesterol levels be over 250.
Yeah, and seeing it was only 175, so I'm hearing what you're saying.
Okay, so he needs
And
more
understanding.
cholesterol. Now, the easiest way to get cholesterol into the body is the lowly
Egg.
chicken egg, right?
Yeah. And we do eggs once a week at least for dinner.
Well, I want him to do 6 eggs a day.
Yeah, I know. That's going to be hard. You ever
Well, or,
Yeah.
rare meat, chicken with the skin, turkey with the skin, butter, right? Full-fat yogurt, full-fat milk. There's a lot of ways to skin the
His
cholesterol
wife
cat.
does all that already. She's pretty
Okay.
into nutrition. Okay.
Well, I don't know what she's into, but he needs to be into a diet that's high in cholesterol, and I don't really care how he gets that. If he can find cholesterol in a pill, I want him to swallow it every day. I don't really care. Okay? All right. Now, the final straw in this drink is the nutritional the nutritional support that his body needs.
Right.
In order to optimize its structure and function. This is what I was alluding to before, and this is the miracle of the holistic method. Because at this point in time, I don't really care if it's brucellosis. I don't really care if there's a fungal infection. I don't really care if there's an unknown parasitic infection. I don't really care if it's rheumatoid arthritis at this point in time. Because here's what I know. His body right now is attempting to fix itself. His body, in order to fix itself, needs raw materials. The raw materials that his body needs to fix itself are not in the food that he's eating. So we have to give him raw materials, get out of the way, and see how far back his body bounces. 3 months from now, we're going to have a much better understanding of what to do if we need to do anything extracurricular in order to get him over the final hurdle. But oftentimes, just with comprehensive foundation medical nutrition in chronic health conditions like this, I mean, it seals the deal, and the body starts firing on all 64 cylinders, and it starts working the way that nature intended it to, and all of a sudden, things start to roll around in his favor instead of against his favor. So, at 300 pounds, in a perfect world, the recommendation would be every month for the next 90 days, 3 months, 3 anti-aging healthy start packs, 3 anti-aging healthy start packs, 4 bottles of selenium, and that's it. 3 anti-aging healthy start packs and 4 bottles of selenium is a perfect place for him to start. Plus eliminate the 10 bad foods. Plus go crazy for cholesterol. And once he's been on my program for 4 weeks, after the 4-week period, I want him to consult with a pharmacist or figure it out on his own, because it's his body, how to come off of the prednisone. And now once you start a reduction schedule with any drug, you have to keep riding that horse. You can't flip-flop and go back and forth. So I would advise him being on this crap for so long, 4 to a 6 month reduction schedule. A 4 to a 6 month reduction schedule. But, I mean, he's going to have to kind of figure that out with a pharmacist or just on your own. There's no law against that. Because I'm not licensed in the state of Iowa, I can't tell you how to do that. If you were my patient in a state in which I was licensed to prescribe these drugs, I could tell you how to do that, but I can't. But a pharmacist can, and quite frankly, you can figure it out yourself. But I would do it over the course of 6 months, but I wouldn't start until July, after he's been, fully on board with the longevity stuff. Now,
that's going to be the difficult part. But
why?
I don't know. He's been watching me take it, though. I've been doing the stuff and been doing well. Now, here's my biggest question. I'm wondering if the CM Plus might not help him.
Well, the CM Plus would help, but it would be in a less than efficient manner.
Yeah.
Right? The CM Plus just knocks down inflammation.
Well, you know
the
what
CM Plus doesn't get to the root cause of the inflammation, and that's what we're all about here. Mm-hmm. We have to give his body nutritional support. Now, if he's a hard sell and he doesn't want to do any of it, then just give him 3 bottles of the plant-derived minerals. 3 bottles of the plant-derived minerals, and have him do 1 ounce 3 times a day for 4 weeks. That will...
Despite what...
Welcome back, everybody. Finishing out today's show, June 3rd, 2014. Get prepared for this Thursday's webinar. It's going to be epic. It's going to be a rather detailed exposition of why longevity supplements are superior and why they beat the pants off of anything you can get over the counter or with any other company. That's this Thursday night, 8 p.m. for Dr. Glidden insiders and their guests exclusively. Not an insider yet? What are you waiting for? Check it out, drglidden.com. Click on the insider button. All the info you need to know is there. We're talking to Danny from Illinois right now. Hey, Danny, are you still with me?
Yes. Good afternoon, Dr. Glidden.
Okay, so what's going on, man?
Okay, I'll be fast because I know the time. So I'm calling for my dad and obviously it's time for father-in-law. My dad is 69 years old, weighs 225 pounds, is 5'4" tall. He has bad knees. His doctor's response is a knee replacement. High blood pressure. That medication is Benazepril HCTZ, as well as a hearing aid.
Great.
I'd like to know what we can do for him, and is that before, with, or after a meal?
All right, so the high blood pressure and the bad knees are two arms of the same octopus. The most common cause of a high blood pressure is a lack of calcium and a lack of magnesium in the body. Sometimes high blood pressure is related to a kidney issue, but the majority of the time high blood pressure is caused by not enough calcium and not enough magnesium. It's one of the easiest things in the world to support and promote the structure and function of your circulatory system. When knees or joints or shoulders or, any joint in the body starts to go south, it's getting bad. The joint is getting bad, not because time is going by, not because of a voodoo curse, and not because of a bad joint gene. It's because his joints have run out of the nutrients they need to repair themselves and to maintain their structure and integrity. No different, really, than if your automobile engine runs out of oil. It's kind of seized. There's nothing mechanically wrong with the engine. It just ran out of oil, right? So the problem here is that even if he had surgery, the surgery wouldn't address the nutritional deficiencies. So a couple of years after the surgery, then the other knee would start to go bad, or the little post that they put down into his tibia would start to wiggle around because it's continuing to lose, his bones are just continuing to lose their structural integrity. Now, it's interesting, because there are 10 foods that we've discovered that people just shouldn't eat at all, and the reason that they shouldn't eat them is in large part to do because of the inflammatory stuff that they create. There's also a category of food that specifically targets bones and joints, and that's any type of soda pop, anything that has phosphoric acid in it. So anybody that has any type of an arthritic condition shouldn't even look at any type of soda pop whatsoever. They just shouldn't even look at it. I don't know how much Coke or ginger ale or any of that stuff that he drinks, but if he drinks any of it, he's got to stop it because that's just an extra added insult to his body. Okay, so number one, eliminate the 10 bad foods. Number two, eliminate any type of soda pop that has phosphoric acid in it. Number three, start to get on board with nutritional supplements to support and promote healthy bones and joints and healthy blood pressure. And that's easy. I would give him 2 original formula healthy bone and joint packs. 2 original formula healthy bone and joint packs. And 1 bottle of Beyond Osteo FX liquid. 2 original formula healthy bone and joint packs, and 1 bottle of Beyond Osteo FX liquid. Now, Danny, how'd you hear about this radio show?
My wife Nora called in about a week ago.
All right.
Her boss.
Okay, so the way that this works, right, is we have representatives, longevity representatives all around the world who have gotten on board with us and become longevity distributors and longevity members, and we've taught them the ropes, so to speak. And so you want to go through them to get the nutritional supplements, and if you do it that way, you'll get the stuff at the wholesale price. And the person who turned you on to this ultimately will be able to tell you how to take the stuff, when to take it, and how to do that, because that stuff's all easy, breezy, lemon squeezy. And that's how this works, right? Everybody leans on everybody else in this giant grassroots family. So get back with your wife's boss, and they'll be able to hook you up with this stuff. And give me a shout in about...
And this amount is per month? for the next 90 days?
Yes, correct. It's per month, once a month.
Before or after a meal?
For the next 90 days. The Youngevity distributor will be able to tell you how to dial that in. All right, Danny, I appreciate the phone call. Thanks again, folks. We're out of time. God willing and the creek don't rise. See you tomorrow.